as we get closer to the end, the truth will become more and more precious, and the people that hold it will have a great responsibility, because the world will reject what they have to say, persecute, hunt them down, and kill them. These truths are hard, and it takes a certain kind of person led by God to bring these truths to the surface. So choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Welcome. Hey guys. So as you've probably guessed by the video cover that I've made, we're going to be talking about Red Dawn today. Not only the movies, but the Red Dawn Trump. Because the movies were a clue, a marker in time for us to understand as a warning to God's people that we are nearing the end. So we got a lot to cover in this video, and I'm going to try to do it as quick as possible. A lot of connections are going to be made, and I would just ask that you keep an open mind, because God's trying to warn his people. This man, Donald Trump, is a high-ranking wizard, and he harnesses the spirit of Apollo, and I'm going to prove everything I'm telling you right now. He is an idol, and God is going to be taking him out. Many Christians are following this man. I followed him. I voted for him in 2016 and in 2020 until the Lord woke me up. So don't think that I'm making this video to hate on you if you are a fan of Donald Trump, or you think he's going to save the country, or you think God sent him. Whatever the case may be, that's not at all what I'm doing. Because I too was under his spell. I'm here to warn that he has put this nation and parts of the world under a spell. People worship this man. They think God sent him to be a savior for America. But tell me, why would God save Babylon when the Bible prophesies about its destruction? Why would God save a godless nation? Just because we put in God we trust on our money and in our courtrooms, that doesn't mean the Father in heaven. That means the God of this world, the serpent that rules over our country, which I've pointed out in so many videos. So, if you like Trump, if you don't like Trump, whatever the case may be, stay tuned for this video, because I'm going to show you many things, some of which you may have seen, some of which you may not have seen. I'm going to tie it into end times prophecy, and we're going to make a lot of connections. And as a bonus, at the end, I will be showing a clip from Casey at Enter the Stars, who just decoded a music video called Money Snake, and it's about Trump. And Casey was finding things that I've been talking about in this music video. I'm putting it at the end because I know I'm going to talk about a lot of things and it might get lengthy. So only you people that really are seeking the knowledge are going to want to stay tuned to see that. But I hope you all do, because every word in this entire video is going to be edifying to your spirit and to helping you understand where we are in the timeline and what you're going to need to prepare for. So get ready, because we're about to enter the Red Dawn.
The snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you." The border. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I have saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
So let's talk about Red Dawn, another movie from 1984. 1984 was a portal which brought us into a new age. And I am going to make a video, I have decided, about 1984, because as I've started to look into it, I could not believe what I found. So I'm pretty sure the Holy Spirit wants me to put this one towards the top of the list. I do have many videos to make, but this one I believe is going to go right up to the top. Let's just cover a few things. I don't know if you've seen this movie or not. They did remake it in 2012. We will be talking about that as well. But this is a film that depicts a fictional World War III, centering on a land invasion of the continental United States by the alliance of the Soviet, Warsaw Pact, and Latin America. What's the Warsaw Pact? This is a treaty of friendship and cooperation and mutual assistance. Now, this is a collective defense treaty signed in Warsaw, Poland, between the Soviet Union and 7 other Eastern Bloc Socialist Republic of Central and Eastern Europe. Alright, so this is going to be Gog. And in this movie, it was Latin America, Mexico, that joined up with the Soviet Union. But you will see in the new remake, things are much different. The story follows a group of teenage guerrillas known as the Wolverines. You'll remember in my last video, I was talking about Tom Brady's football team, the Wolverines. I showed you the Orange Bowl, which looked very similar to Trump, with a crown on its head. Okay, all these things are connected, and I'm going to show you. In Soviet-occupied Colorado, the film stars yada yada yada. Despite mixed reviews from the critics, the film became a commercial success, grossing $38 million against a budget of $17 million. So I told you 1984 is a portal year. Okay? 3/8, that's 888. That's half of 1776. 888 times 2 is 1776. Against a budget of $17 million. That's Q. It was the first film to be released in the U.S. with a PG-13 rating under the modified rating system introduced on July 1st, 1984. July 1st, 1/7/17/17, 1984, 1984. The plot. During the Cold War, the United States became strategically isolated after several nations withdrew from NATO. At the same time, the Soviet Union and its Warsaw Pact allies aggressively expanded their sphere of influence. In addition, the Ukraine wheat harvest fails while a socialist coup d'etat occurs in Mexico. The Ukraine wheat harvest fails during Russia's rise to power. Is anybody seeing this right now? This is what's happening right now in a movie that came out in 1984. Let's look at 2012's version. Red Dawn is a 2012 American action war film. So 2012, that's 66. This is the Apollo number. MGM announced its intention to remake Red Dawn in May 2008. There's your portal. And subsequently hired Bradley and Ellsworth. The principal characters were cast. In the following year, the film went into production in September 2009. September's 9, right? The month 9, and 9 and 2 is 11. Here's your portal. Here's your 9/11. While in post-production, the invading army and antagonists were changed from Chinese to North Korea in order to maintain access to the Chinese box office, though the film was still not released in China. So, the invading armies are Russia and China. But before they released it, they changed it to North Korea. Keep in mind that it's Russia and China. That's important because that's disclosure. This is the warning to God's people. It was only changed to North Koreans to further hide the truth. Because of MGM's bankruptcy, the distribution rights were sold to Film District in September 2011, 9/11. And the film was released in the United States on November 21st, 2012. That's 88. November is 11, and 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 8. 11 times 8 is 88. So here's your portal, here's your Apollo, and here's your Trump. The film is also a box office failure, grossing 50.9. Okay, 5 times 9, 45. That's Trump. President number, 45. 4 plus 5 is 9, the number of the beast. Million against its 65 million budget. So you can even take this further. You can go, this is 5 times 9 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. And then 65 million, 6 plus 5 is 11. These are how these numbers work. If you're new to the channel, you might think this is a stretch, but go back and watch previous videos, especially the numbers video. So we're going to scroll down here a little bit to the plot. We already know from reading the other movie what the plot is. China and Russia invade. Let's read a little bit of this plot. U.S. Marine Jed Eckhart is home in Spokane, Washington. He reunites with his father, Spokane Police Sergeant Tom Eckert, and his brother, football player Matt Eckert, as well as his childhood friend Tony Walsh and her cousin Erica Martin, Matt's girlfriend. Matt's football team, the Wolverines, suffers a defeat against another team after the game. They go out to the bar, but an unexpected blackout leaves them going home. So his football team is called the Wolverines. Okay, this is Tom Brady's Wikipedia. As I said, you can see here the 1999 or the 666 Michigan Wolverines. This is where Tom Brady played in college. Okay, Michigan State. And he played at the Orange Bowl. Now I showed you that this Orange Bowl is a replica of Trump. People call him Orange Man. Okay, this is all spirituality manifesting in the physical realm. Okay, guys? So this is the orange, which represents Trump. You can see here his token hairdo and a crown, which you will see in Casey's video if you watch to the end. I also realized this after I made the video about Jordan and Brady, that Trump is in the center of the eye. There's an eye here, and Trump is the pupil or the iris. So this is one of the connections between Brady and his Apollo spirit and Trump's Apollo spirit. These things are connected and they manifest together. The running time was 93 minutes long. That's 3 nines. Or 27, which is 72 backwards. That's 66 plus 6. Or you can just do 3 nines upside down, 666. Alright, so after they join a rebel force, they start a rebel force. Jed announces that he intends to fight, and the others agree to join him, and they call themselves the Wolverines. The Wolverines eventually encounter Marine Sergeant Major Andrew Tanner and 2 other Marines, Corporal Smith and Sergeant Hodges. They reveal that the Russia-backed China invasion used an EMP weapon that crippled the U.S. electrical grid and military, followed by landings along east and the west coasts, with American counterattacks eventually halting their advances. Well, we're not going to see any American counterattacks. That I can tell you. So, what does this Red Dawn have to do with Trump? Well, Trump is Donald Trump. He's the Republican ex-president. His presidency was the Republican president. He was the Red Dawn. He's also the 6th head on the 7-headed beast in Revelation 17. In Revelation 13, Trump will be the head that gets wounded to death. Now, you might like Trump. I don't know. I'm not here to judge you. All I'm going to tell you is that he is an idol stealing worship from God by God's people, because people are lifting Trump up and exalting him as a savior of their country and their lifestyles. And God is going to take him out. He will never be president again. He will be killed. Here's something I want to show you guys, and I will leave the link to her YouTube in the description section. This is Celestial. She's a prophetess, right up there with the likes of Jeremiah. Her YouTube page is called the Master's Voice Prophecy Blog. This is also a web page, which you can find in the description of her videos, where she puts all the prophecies that God gives her in writing. And they are really intense, and all you have to do is watch one of her videos and you will know she is the real deal. And she's always talking about how this, because she's a prophetess for mostly America, she's always talking about how this right here is her most important playlist, and to start with this war series, Russia and China invasion of the U.S. Now, if you've been on my channel for a while, you will have noticed that I did a series called Coming to America with 4 videos where I went through Jeremiah and Isaiah and showed you guys in the scriptures the judgments that are coming to us and how we're going to be invaded by Russia and China. Russia and its allies are Gog. Magog is China and its allies. They will be invading us. Donald Trump was the timeline marker. He was the Red Dawn. You see what's happening here? This is a warning to God's people. 1984 was the portal. 2012 was the manifestation of Apollo. 2016, 88, was the portal number that Trump came through with the Apollo spirit. He is the Red Dawn. So because the movie description on Wikipedia spoke of cyber attacks on the U.S. and an attack on our power grid, I decided to do a search on these two things. And here's what we see. The U.S. has been facing several cyber attack threats recently. The Cybersecurity Agency and U.S. law enforcement have been warning of Chinese cyber capabilities for months. Chinese hackers could threaten critical pipelines and transport infrastructures in the event of an open conflict. There is no evidence of any specific cyber attack threat, but U.S. officials have observed preparatory work linked to nation-state actors. Right here we see that in the fallout of an economic crisis in the European Union and a weakened NATO alliance, collaborative dealings occurred between a progressively militant China, now led by Xi Jinping, and an ultra-nationalist dominated Russia. The increased deployment of U.S. troops abroad leaves the mainland vulnerable, and American infrastructure is increasingly vulnerable to the threat of a cyber attack. Okay, this is a movie that was put out in 2012, and it's manifesting right now because Red Dawn has come. Cyber attacks on the power grid. Cyber attacks on the power grid include malware spreading campaigns that can shut down systems. A successful cyber attack can dismantle the power grid for months or years and leave potentially millions of Americans in the dark. What do we see here? After the game, they go to the bar, but an unexpected blackout leads them going home. This is exactly what happened in this movie, and it is about to happen to this country. Not tomorrow, but it's coming. God gives his people warning, so God's timing is perfect. Celestial has been giving this warning for a long time. I made those videos with this warning last year. So time is getting short. So people need to really receive this warning and understand that this is coming. This timeline marker, Red Dawn, has taken place. Red Dawn has come. Let's prove that Trump harnesses the Apollo spirit. Trump Tower is 58 stories high, but Trump says his penthouse is on the 66th floor, which is Apollo's number. Trump won the 58th quadrennial presidency 58 years after 1958, and Mar-a-Lago has 58 bedrooms. This number 58, I don't know exactly what the meaning of it is, but it surrounds Trump in a monumental way. He is surrounded by the number 58. So let's look at the Trump Tower. We're going to get into this a lot deeper in a little bit, but I want to just show you guys. If you look at it from the side, it's a step pyramid. You see? It's a step pyramid, a 7-stepped pyramid, just like the Egyptians made 7-step pyramids. Floor count, 58. Elevator lifts, 34. 3 times 4. That's 12. 66. He says there's 58 floors, but his penthouse is on floor 66. Number of units, 232. Well, that's 322. Skull and bones. 3 times 22, 66. The building is 28-sided. 88. The tower's public spaces are clad in 240 tons of breccia. I don't even know how to pronounce that, so please forgive me. 2 and 4 is 6. The atrium contains a 60-foot tall, 18 meters, that's 666, 60 feet. Indoor waterfall. What's a waterfall? Well, that's a portal. Water goes in and back up and around, making a portal, which is spanned by a suspended walkway of shops, cafes. The atrium's escalators and structural columns are clad with mirror panels. Mirrored panels. What is the dark dimension? It's the mirror dimension. There are 6 levels of balconies that overlook the atrium with its mirrored panels. The building has 13 office stories, and you can see here that his residential condos go from 30 to 68. That's because the 58th floor, where Trump's penthouse is, he calls floor 66, because he has the Apollo spirit. The tower was designed as a 28-faced edifice with an inverted pyramid of cubes at the base. What do I always tell you about Satan's prison? It's cubes. What's the demonic shape? The pyramid. Here you have an inverted pyramid of cubes at the base of Trump Tower. I'm going to show you all this stuff in depth, so there's no denying it. So before I move on to show you inside his penthouse and his Apollo worship, I'm going to just show you a little bit about Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is Spanish for sea to lake. Sea to lake. This is Trump's Florida home. Mar-a-Lago, sea to lake. Well, what's the significance? Why did I highlight sea? Because as I've told you, Trump is the head that's wounded to death. He's one of the 7 heads of the beast, which are 7 presidents. So, let's take a look at Revelation 13 real quick. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Where does Trump live? He lives at Mar-a-Lago, which is sea to the lake of fire. You picking up what I'm putting down here? Trump acquired Mar-a-Lago in 1985. That's 58 backwards. Remember what I told you, that Trump Tower has 58 floors. Mar-a-Lago has 58 bedrooms. Trump won the 58th quadrennial presidency 58 years after 1958. And here he bought and acquired Mar-a-Lago in 1985, which is 58 backwards. And he used the 126 room, there's your 216, 6 times 6 times 6, which is 62,500 square feet mansion as a residence before 1994, when he converted it into the Mar-a-Lago Club, a members-only club with the guest rooms, spa, and hotel-style amenities. His family maintains private quarters in a separate closed-off area of the house and grounds marked by decorative dolphins. During his tenure as the President of the United States, Trump frequently visited Mar-a-Lago and hosted meetings with international leaders there, including Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Chinese paramount leader Xi Jinping. Since 2019, Trump has designated the estate as his primary residence. So, here he is hosting Xi Jinping in his own house, Red Dawn. And he moved in and started living there in 2019. The COVID year, the Metonic cycle spell. So we've already discussed that it means sea to lake. Here we go. The house has 58 bedrooms. Okay, there's the spell number for Trump. 33 bathrooms. 33. A 29-foot long, which is 8.8 meters. Pietra dura, I guess it's called, marble top dining room table. 12 fireplaces. Here's your 88. Here's your 66. 33. 58. Look at the numbers that surround this place, you guys. It's a 17-acre spread, which is 6.9 hectares. This place screams serpent. So now that we've covered Mar-a-Lago from sea to the lake of fire, and he rises up out of the sea. Let me show you real quick why I call him the head that's wounded to death first. Alright, because it says this, and I saw one of the heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Okay? Trump is going to be taken out. He is the head that's wounded to death. Why does it say that his deadly wound was healed? Because it's a 7-headed dragon, and the beast didn't die. One of his heads was wounded to death. Let's take a look inside the Trump Tower penthouse. Here we have a picture from a tour Trump gave. Here you have Apollo, a painting of Apollo led in his chariot by Aurora. So let's start there. Who is Aurora? Aurora is the Latin word for dawn, and goddess of the dawn in Roman mythology and Latin poetry. The goddess of the dawn. Well, who gets the worship for the dawn? Let's take a look a little deeper. Lucifer. It corresponds with Greek names Phosphorus, light bringer, and Eosphorus, dawn bringer. Oh, so Lucifer brings the dawn. So that means that Aurora worship goes to Lucifer. Okay, what else? We got a statue of Eros and Psyche. Well, let's figure out who Eros and Psyche are. Eros. In Greek mythology, Eros is the Greek god of love and sex. His Roman counterpart is Cupid. In the earliest account, he is a primordial god, while in later accounts he's described as one of the children of Aphrodite and Ares, and with some of his siblings was one of the Erodes, a group of winged love gods. As you can see, it says that his counterpart is Cupid. That just means that he is also Cupid, who I've told you is Apollo. Let's scroll down here and see what else we can learn. Eros was depicted as often carrying a lyre or a bow and arrow. That sounds familiar. Let's have a look at Apollo. Apollo. As a god of music, Apollo presides over all music, songs, dance, poetry. He is the inventor of string music. The lyre is a common attribute of Apollo. Here you can see his symbol is a lyre, the laurel wreath, a python, and bow and arrows. Let's go back to Eros. He's often depicted as carrying a lyre or a bow and arrow. He is Apollo. So let's look up Psyche. Psyche is the Greek goddess of the soul, often represented as a beautiful woman with butterfly wings. This is why the Monarch mind control program uses the monarch butterfly as a symbol, as a logo, because they are splitting the human psyche. They are separating the soul for demon possession. Okay, this is why they use the butterfly. So if we look a little deeper into Psyche, in her early life, it says, in an unnamed kingdom, a king and queen had 3 beautiful daughters. The youngest, Psyche, possessed beauty that surpassed that of her sisters, which resulted in those around her, including priests, comparing her to Aphrodite. That's Artemis. Many went to the extent of saying that she was even fairer than the goddess herself. In other iterations, she is not compared to Aphrodite, but mistaken for her. So this is a story which you will remember in Clash of the Titans, either the old version or the new remake one, where the king and queen are comparing their daughter's beauty to that of Aphrodite. This is the story of Perseus and Andromeda. Perseus is the legendary founder of the Perseid dynasty, and alongside Cadmus and Bellerophon, the greatest Greek hero and slayer of monsters before the days of Hercules. He beheaded the Gorgon Medusa for Polydectes and saved Andromeda from the sea monster Cetus, which is the Kraken. So here we have Nephilim. So we have Apollo and a female that he took for a wife, Andromeda or Psyche. So this statue is of Apollo and his human wife, and they give birth to Nephilim. Here's Trump's coat of arms. Before we get to Trump's coat of arms, though, let's take a look at a ceiling painting in his other room. And here you have some Greek vases in Athenian style. Okay, this is all Apollo worship, you guys. Here's Apollo on the ceiling. This is a giant mural of Apollo on the ceiling. Why is it on the ceiling? Because he's being lifted up, exalted into godhood. So, what about Trump and his family crest? Before we can look at his family crest, I need to point out something else to you that Apollo does that Trump did. Apollo delivers people from epidemics, yet he is also a god who could bring ill health and deadly plague with his arrows. So he brings the sickness, aka COVID, and the cure, aka the medicine.
I would have put a warning on or something on just that particular vaccine, but I certainly would have paused it and gotten front page news all over the world, and then people don't want it, and it probably even affects the others, because, there's a big situation with a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine. Well, this played right into their hands, and they want me to do public service messages and everything about everybody taking the vaccine. And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. In a way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. In a way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. To get it done in less than 9 months was a miracle. Fauci said it would take 3 to 5 years. He thought it was something that just wouldn't be that effective because it would take so long to get. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before. I wouldn't exactly say they're in love with me. They have never. This is a very bureaucratic organization. I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it. When they did the pause on Johnson & Johnson, I thought that was a very, very stupid thing to do.
Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly.
Let's talk about COVID, because Operation Warp Speed is one of the positives from the administration, and you've brought up the need for vaccines. You've actually told people to get vaccines. I'm just curious. I got the Pfizer vaccine. Which vaccine did you get? Have you shared that with us yet?
Well, I got the Pfizer, and I would have been very happy with any of them. Well, I got the Pfizer, and I would have been very happy with any of them. I thought a very bad statement was when they did a pause on Johnson & Johnson. I think that frightened people. That was a bad thing to do. At that time, when they did the pause, they had 6 people that may have had some difficulty out of millions that received it, but I think the pause was a very bad thing to do. At that time, when they did the pause, they had 6 people that may have had some difficulty out of millions that received it, but I think the pause was a very bad thing to do.
Mr. President, you've talked a lot about the good state of your health, and I'm curious, would you get the booster shot?
Well, if I felt it was necessary, I guess I have sort of a double vaccine because, as you know, I had it, recovered from it pretty well. I don't think I had it like the press, like the media said. You know, they would try making it difficult. Not pleasant, but I had it. I recovered. In addition to that, got the shot. I'm somebody that tells people I'd like to see them get it. I also want them to have their freedoms, etc. But I got the double shot. And if I felt that it was necessary, and let's see where this whole thing is going. I mean, I was surprised. I thought it would have been gone long before now. You know, you don't hear Biden being criticized for the fact that this thing is lingering on in some cases, you know, numbers that are very, very large.
It is, Mr. President, it is lingering on. But when I mentioned you had said to your supporters, get a vaccine, some of them booed. And the current data shows us that it's the unvaccinated that are contributing to why it's lingering. What do you say to those people?
Well, you know, it's interesting. When I was president, everybody wanted to get the vaccine. Everybody. Well, you know, it's interesting. When I was president, everybody wanted to get the vaccine. Everybody. There was a rush to get it. You didn't hear anything about mandates. You didn't hear anything about, oh, gee, people don't want to take it. After I left, people don't want to take it. And it's very interesting. And I think it's because they don't trust Biden. They don't trust the administration. As you know...
you don't think it's misinformation about the vaccines?
Vice President Harris made some very nasty comments, and I think maybe people took that seriously, what she said. But, you know, I think they hurt the vaccine. Now they're trying to get everybody to take it. But I will say, and I think you'll agree, when I was president, there was a rush to get it. Everybody wanted to get it. It was only after that you started to hear this.
Both of these things happened on Trump's watch. In 2019, the sickness came. In 2020, the cure came. In Project Warp Speed. Here is the logo for Operation Warp Speed. Notice the stars, 5 inside, 8 outside. That's 58. Around the COVID spike protein. Notice that it's inside a cube. Notice it has a little tail like a Q. Okay, this is the logo for Operation Warp Speed, which is what they called it when they were trying to get the medicine out in super record time. You know how they were able to do it? Because it was ready in 2015.
Our gain-of-function moratorium, the moratorium that was supposed to freeze any efforts to do gain-of-function research. Conveniently, in the fall of 2014, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill received a letter from NIAID saying that while the gain-of-function moratorium on coronavirus in vivo should be suspended, because their grants had already been funded, they received an exemption. Did you hear what I just said? A biological weapons lab facility at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, received an exemption from the gain-of-function moratorium so that by 2016 we could publish the journal article that said, SARS coronavirus is poised for human emergence in 2016. And what, you might ask, Dave, was the coronavirus poised for human emergence? It was WIV1, Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1. Poised for human emergence in 2016 at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, such that by the time we get to 2017 and 2018, the following phrase entered into common parlance among the community. There is going to be an accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen. The operative word, obviously, in that phrase, the word release. Does that sound like leak? Does that sound like a bat and a pangolin went into a bar in the Wuhan market and hung out and had sex, and lo and behold, we got SARS-CoV-2? No. Accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen was the terminology used, and 4 times in April of 2019, 7 months before the allegation of patient number 1, 4 patent applications of Moderna were modified to include the term accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen as the justification for making a vaccine for a thing that did not exist. Keep going. If you have not done so, please make sure that you make reference in every investigation to the premeditation nature of this, because it was in September of 2019 that the world was informed that we were going to have an accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen so that by September 2020, there would be a worldwide acceptance of a universal vaccine template. That's their words, right in front of you on the screen. The intent was to get the world to accept a universal vaccine template, and the intent was to use coronavirus to get there. And the last slide. This isn't advancing, so if I could have somebody do it. Let's read this, because we have to read this into the record everywhere I go. Until an infectious disease crisis is very real, present, and at the emergency threshold that is often largely ignored. To sustain the funding base beyond the crisis, he said, we need to increase the public understanding for the need for medical countermeasures such as a pan-influenza or pan-coronavirus vaccine. A key driver is the media, and the economics will follow the hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get to the real issues. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of the process. Sounds like public health? Sounds like the best of humanity? No, ladies and gentlemen, this was premeditated domestic terrorism stated at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2015, published in front of them. This is an act of biological and chemical warfare perpetrated on the human race, and it was admitted to in writing that this was a financial heist and a financial fraud. Investors will follow if they see profit at the end of the process. Let me conclude by making 5 very brief recommendations. The last slide. Nature was hijacked. This whole story started in 1965 when we decided to hijack a natural model and decide to start manipulating it. Science was hijacked when the only questions that could be asked were questions authorized under the patent protection of the CDC, the FDA, the NIH, and their equivalent organizations around the world. We didn't have independent science, we had hijacked science. And unfortunately, there was no moral oversight in violation of all of the codes that we stand for. There was no independent, financially disinterested, independent review board ever impaneled around coronavirus, not once. Not once. Not since 1965. We do not have a single independent IRB ever impaneled around coronavirus. So morality was suspended for medical countermeasures. And ultimately, humanity was lost because we decided to allow it to happen. Our job today is to say, no more gain-of-function research, period. No more weaponization of nature, period. And most importantly, no more corporate patronage of science for their own self-interest unless they assume 100% product liability for every injury and every death that they maintain. Thank you very much.
So before I move on to show you Trump's family crest, I'm sure a lot of you wonder why I use Apollo's reference so often to describe so many different things. Well, let me show you some of his Greco-Roman epithets. He's known as the God of Light. Who else is known as the God of Light? That's right, Lucifer. I'm not going to read all these, but I'm just going to scroll down so you can see all the things that Apollo is associated with. And these are just some of them. Here's the sun. He's associated with all these gods. You got Helios, Lysias, Phineas, Phobius, Saul. He's associated with wolves because of the lichens, Lycogenes, Lycotonus. His origin and birthplace. Cynthius, this is the Cynthians. Delius, Didymaeus, the place of worship. Healing and disease. Founder and protector gods. Look at all these things he's associated with. Music and arts, archery, appearance, Amazons, Celtic epithets and cult titles. They're all Apollo something or other. I just wanted to show you this stuff because this is why I associate Apollo with so much, because he's associated with so much. So let's take a look at Trump's family crest. Here is Trump's family crest. Now what I want you to pay close attention to is the fist coming up through the cube, alright, through the square cube here, and holding on to the arrow or the spear. This is Apollo's weapon, the arrow. And this represents Trump being the tip of the spear. Well, what significance does this have? Here's a picture of Trump in his military class. This is Trump. Right at the tip of the spear. Here's a closer one. This is Trump. The tip of the spear. The tip of the spear. Apollo, the arrow. And Trump's holding on to it through a cube. So this represents the demonic powers coming out of the cube, so that Trump can use the arrow to bring ill health and deadly plague with his arrows, so that he can deliver people from epidemics, so he can be lifted up, okay? I have shown you more than enough to associate Trump with Apollo, from his buildings to the numbers surrounding him, through the spells that he's put over people. But let's take a look at how he's able to put these spells on people, and then we'll dig into Trump Tower in depth. This is the Church of Satan. You can see here that this is their logo. The infinity, right? The Ouroboros, the 8, and the double cross. This is where the term double cross comes from. When someone double crosses you, they turn on you. This is the symbol where that comes from. So we're going to go down a little bit, and we're going to let's look at the hierarchy of the Church of Satan. Now you can see, I'm going to raise this up so you can see it. See here in the website header, Church of Satan, hierarchy. Okay? Now I'm going to bring it back down. The 5th and highest degree in the Church of Satan is MAGA. That's right, MAGA. And everybody's wearing Make America Great Again hats. MAGA. Giving this spell that Trump has cast over people so much power, because they're all wearing red MAGA hats to celebrate dawn. The red dawn. The MAGA spell. Are you getting it? Because this is high witchcraft, wizardry, demonicism, whatever you want to call it. It is pure evil. And God's people are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. While I was doing research, I found this website which had a lot of information on Trump and his tower. which I found very useful because this is the kind of stuff I was looking to show. So you can see that he is constantly making the Illuminati symbol with his hands. Okay, he's also always holds up 5-5, which is 6-6. He's also heavily associated with Q and has even admitted to being part of the movement. I used to follow this movement, so I know. Here he is doing this, this Illuminati one-eye symbolism, the 666. He does this in almost every single speech. Here you can see, totally associated with Q. We are Q. Here's the guy with Q. Trump, Q, the Q. You can just see that he's totally associated with Q. People, he is the mystery of Q. Well, what is Q? Q is the serpent. Q is Quetzalcoatl. Here we have primer, the inverted triangle and Baal worship. The inverted triangle is a symbol that is used by the Freemasons and the occult, Satanists, New Agers, pagans, and others who practice esoteric mysticism and dark arts. During his campaign, some of his staff members wore a lapel pin that was very strange looking. It was an inverted pyramid with the colors purple and gold. At the time, members of the press wondered about it but didn't pursue it. But the question is, why? You can see here he's wearing the pin. You'll see it better in these other pictures. Why did they wear it? What did it mean? Take a look at these images. You can see they're wearing a purple and gold pyramid. Well, the Bible says that purple and gold are royalty colors, ruler colors. This is not a one-time occurrence. Eventually, a rumor from the Trump team stated that the pins were provided by the Secret Service so they could keep track of Trump's team when they were in the crowd. And that may sound good, but it doesn't explain why they continued to wear the pins when they were by themselves visiting television studios. Why did the Secret Service need them to wear the pins when they were away from Trump, while they were doing TV interviews? Did the pin need to be seen by someone who was watching, or was it an exercise in Freemasonic misdirection, as Albert Pike said? I wondered about it but was unable to find a concrete explanation. One thing I have discovered over the years is that Freemasons and secret societies love to hide things in plain sight, so if it was symbolic, in-your-face effort to display their symbol, what does it mean? I searched and searched for Freemason symbols that resembled the pin, and I believe I found something that may explain it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that this is circumstantial, but the pin appears to resemble the colors of a Grand Master, which is an office that presides over the Masonic jurisdiction. The person holding the title is also referred to as the most worshipful Grand Master. There are two ways to attain this position. The first is through loyal effort by working their way up. The second method is to become a Grand Master by honorary placement. Several presidents have received the honorary placement of Grand Master, including Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry Truman, and Gerald Ford. The images below show President Roosevelt in his Grand Master Freemasonic apron. Correction, the picture is of Harry S. Truman. Okay, so here you have it. The colors are gold and purple, which coincide with the office. Here is a picture of the apron. The same apron George Washington wore. I'm wondering if Donald Trump was given the honorary office of Grand Master because the lapel pins have the same color as the office, gold and purple. So they may say that it's circumstantial because they can't prove what they're saying on this website, but I will say that with everything else I've shown you, I think it's getting to be a lot less circumstantial and a lot more certain. So Trump Tower. By now, most of the Western world is familiar with it. It was completed in 1983 and is a reported 664 feet high. Now, before I move on, I want to emphasize that the present age of the tower when it was built, Trump's election, was 33 years later. So here's another connection to another Masonic number, another spell. So Trump wins the 58th quadrennial election 58 years after 1958 with his 58-story penthouse and his 58-bedroom Mar-a-Lago that he bought in 1985. And here, 33 years after Trump Tower was completed, he won the election. The tower's date of completion was November 30th, 1983, and became the home of Donald Trump. The tower is now 33 years old. Trump was elected president November 8th, 2016, which was 33 years after the tower was built, almost to the day. Trump Tower completed, Trump elected president. The Electoral College cast their votes on December 19th, 2016. That's 66 and 19. This means that the tower was 33 years old when Trump officially became president. So here's a bunch of stuff I've already told you. I will leave this website in the description as well, because there's a ton of information on this website that I'm not talking about because I've talked about it before. Alright, so here's where we're going to start this. Let's take a look at Trump Tower from the ground. People have not noticed that the tower's anatomy tells and conceals the story, but it does. Let me say again, Trump Tower represents the dualism of Baal's pillars, the inverted triangle of Asherah, and the mystical grove of trees, like the Bohemian Grove. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you Trump Tower. Here's an image of the tower from the ground looking up. Many of you have seen this image in the past. Most folks have not given it a second thought because from the ground the veiled message is difficult to see. Most focus on the main entrance. I believe Donald Trump planned it that way. And I will also say, based on what I'm about to show you, it appears Trump Tower has been a continual invocation to false deities. And people are going to ask, do you know how crazy that sounds? And he said, yes, I do, but over the past few years, have you witnessed the pagan rituals that have celebrated the underworld, like the 2012 Olympic opening ceremony, the past Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammys, the shamans opening portals across America? Yeah, we've all witnessed this stuff, guys, so this doesn't sound crazy at all, does it? So here they show you Trump's penthouse, some of the same stuff I was pointing out. They have the same picture from that article. Alright, so let's scroll down here to get to the tower, because this is the stuff I want to show you. The exhibit of Trump Tower, as I said earlier, most people at street level cannot really see what is going on above them when they look at the tower. So let's look at it from an aerial view. Do you see it, folks? It's right there in front of all of us. The inverted pyramid, which represents the female Asherah, which is Isis, Astarte, Artemis. Okay, this is the twin of Apollo. And when we look above it, we see the 7 pillars rising, which represent Baal. This is the step pyramid, the 7 pillars rising, which is Baal worship. You can see them really good in this picture. And here you can see the inverted triangle of grove trees, which have 6, 6, 6. Count the points at the top of the building, there's 7. Alright, now it's talking about the inverted pyramid, showing you that there are 6 trees on each side. There's your 6, 6, 6. But it doesn't stop there. The fertility cult of Baal always took place with the grove of trees. Trees represent the feminine, and how interesting it is that the inverted pyramid is made up of a grove of trees. What's even more interesting is that from afar, the trees appear to look like the private area of a woman. Is it all coincidence? Did Trump not know what his tower looked like? Of course he did. He designed it. Here's an image of the young Trump standing over his temple. So here it is. And he is proud about the inverted 666. This is what it looks like when you look down on it from the top. You can see that it's a pyramid of grove trees. 6, 6, and 6 under the pillars of Baal. So now they're making connections about Trump's chandelier. Here's a Masonic Lodge chandelier in Manhattan. Here's Trump's chandelier. Here are angels at the four corners. Masonic lodges will often feature the twin pillars of Jachin and Boaz. Take a look at the images of the lodge below. Note that the pillars are installed in pairs. 1, 2 there, 1, 2 there, 1, 2 there, and so on and so forth. Here's another picture, 2, 2, 2. It's always like this. We know that. Now look at Donald Trump's penthouse. The pillars are installed in pairs. See, Donald Trump is the highest ranking member of a satanic church. He is a 33-degree Grand Master Mason. The stuff surrounding this man is incredible. I just have been trying to show you that he is completely demonic, that this Red Dawn connection is real and is true. Donald Trump is Red Dawn. Now let's just take a quick look at his Nephilim child. Here you have Baron Trump, who is 6'7", even though he has the face of a baby. Look at how tall he is over his mother. Here he is walking next to his dad, who is 6'3", 3 6s. He is towering over Trump. This is Nephilim. So as we watch these Back to the Future clips, I'll just give you a heads up that I put a lot of text on the screen. So this is a section of the video you're definitely going to want to watch, because otherwise you'll miss all the things that I'm pointing out. Enjoy.
30 years ago, lightning struck that clock tower, and the clock hasn't run since. 30 years ago, lightning struck that clock tower, and the clock hasn't run since.
October 26, 1985, 1:18 a.m. October 26, 1985, 1:18 a.m. October 26, 1985, 1:18 a.m.
Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch. Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch. Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
First, you turn the time circuits on.
Say you want to see the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Say you want to see the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Or witness the birth of Christ. The birth of Christ. November 5th, 1955. November 5th, 1955. That was the day I invented time travel. That was the day I invented time travel. I remember it vividly. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation. A picture in my head. A picture of this.
This is what makes time travel possible. A picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible.
Gotta be the wrong year. 1985.
The one and only Biff Tannen.
I just want to say one thing. God bless America.
And relive Biff's happiest moment, as in 1973 he realized his lifelong romantic dream.
Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm.
This line represents time. Present 1985, future, past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent. Somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein. But reality for everyone else. Reality for everyone else. Reality for everyone else.
So, I hope you see all the connections. The Holy Spirit leads me to these things, and they are just undeniable and mind-blowing all at the same time. Before I get to the bonus, which you definitely don't want to miss, I would highly suggest you stick around for it, and I will leave a link to the whole video Casey did that day in the description. But as I was making this video, and these videos take multiple days to make, a lot of research, a lot of recording, a lot of editing, but as I was doing the research, I came to an understanding through the leadership of the Holy Spirit And I came to understand that the number 58 is not Trump's number. It's Apollo's number. And I'm about to show you why. In Revelation 17, this is a screenshot from a video that I did called Antichrist Exposed. In Revelation 17, the prophecy tells about the seven-headed beast and says there's 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is current, and 1 is not yet come. Okay? This is talking about 7 presidents. When John the Revelator had this vision, it was during Trump's presidency. So he would be the current one, and the one that is not yet come, and when he comes, he continues only for a short while. Well, that's Biden. We all know that he is losing his mind, if he even had one to begin with. Let's not get sidetracked. Let me show you. Let's pull up Revelation 17. We'll start at verse 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. This is referring to the whore of Babylon, Kamala Harris, after Biden's out and she takes power for a little bit. This is talking about the 7 hills of Washington, D.C. And there are 7 kings. This is the 7 heads. There are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes to perdition. So here we have the 7 presidents, starting with Reagan. And I'll just give you a clue. Reagan was re-elected in 1984, the portal year. And he is the first head of the 7-headed beast. So, we got Reagan, then came Bush Sr., then came Clinton, then came Bush Jr., then came Obama, then came Trump, then came Biden. So it says, there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Reagan through Obama are fallen. And 1 is, which was Trump, because when John had this vision, it was during Trump's presidency. And the other is not yet come. This is Biden. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. So he's not going to finish his term. So there you have the 7 heads. Now it says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7. So out of these 7, the Antichrist is. He's of the 7, and he is the 8th. Well, Obama is the Antichrist, and he's going to be the 8th. And look what number head he is. Number 5. He's number 5 and 8. 58. That is why this number 58 is coming up so much. It has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with Apollo. So I hope you find that as mind-blowing as I did, because I was wondering and wondering and wondering. And this is why the Bible says, seek and ye shall find. Ask and it will be given to you. When you have the Holy Spirit indwelling in you and you ponder things, you get answers. It's absolutely incredible how the Holy Spirit works. So, I hope you found this video informative, and I hope you take the warnings that are being given here. This is a channel of truth and warning to wake people up. This is not to hate on you if you like Donald Trump. It's to inform you about who Donald Trump is, the real person. As I told you, I used to follow Trump. I voted for him. I went to his rallies. As a matter of fact, check this out. This is me and my daughter taking a selfie in front of all the protesters that were there protesting Trump. So, believe me, I'm not trying to hate on you or condemn you. God woke me up to this kind of stuff and everything that I'm making videos on and all the information I'm sharing so that I could warn you. Okay? Because what better person to warn you than someone who was under the spell that God broke free? Because I can relate and I have no problem telling you the truth. So, with that, I will put on Casey's video. I hope you stick around and watch it because he points out that clock tower that says 10:04. He points out the crown, like I found the crown on the Orange Bowl logo. And when Casey was doing the Money Snake video, like a week after I put out that Tom Brady video, I was like, that's the crown. There's just so many connections. So I highly suggest you stick around and watch that. You won't regret it. And until next time, you guys, take care.
Now, the first thing I saw here, let's play this through. Here is the beginnings of Money Snake by the Tanuki Project. I'll put links to all this. The first thing that I noticed was the way that they stylized the phrase Money Snake. Let's see here. Now this is Trump driving through the skyline, and what you see here is a clock tower, which is in the shape of a needle. And then Money Snake appears on the screen. And what I noticed was the stylization of the letters E, Y, and S. And they're stylized to look like the actual currency symbols, aren't they? The S is the dollar, the E is the euro, and the Y is the yuan. The very same three countries or continents that were hit the hardest by COVID. The next thing I noticed was the clock tower syringe that was at 11 seconds that I just showed you. Then 666 appears on Trump's license plate at exactly 19 seconds. Can't make it up. 19 seconds. Snake 666 with Texas on there. Of course, 19 is COVID-19, right? Then I noticed the front of his car at 24 seconds. And to me, it is the basic shape. What is the shape of the front of this car? I want to get you guys involved in these decodes because I can't just be telling you all this. You have to see it for yourself. That gives validity to the decode so that you know we're not making it all up. Look at the syringe in the background with the clock on it. Remember, he's Biff, Back to the Future. Look at where the clock is. 10:04. That's 88. Remember? 10:04 on the clock tower in Back to the Future is what the clock tower struck when Marty got up to 88 miles an hour and jumped through time. Remember? And 88 is that Trump number. But also in the calendar, if you look at the date 10/4, October 4th, it has 88 days left in the year. They took us through a portal. That's what they did. Now let me go in the chat and see who could figure out what the front of his car looks like so that people know I'm just not stretching stuff and making it up. This is very important. All right, let's see here. I don't know where everybody went today. This is probably one of our most important videos ever. But this is what they do. They won't send out notifications after hard-hitting videos. What is the front of the... It's a crown. Absolutely, it's a crown, isn't it? So all of you saw it. It's not just people making it up. Let's keep going here. Good job, you guys. Then at 29 seconds, we finally see Trump as a snake inside of this vehicle. The window goes down, and we see Trump as a reptilian. Then at 31 seconds, what does he do? He drives up to the front of a Walmart. And he offers money to a goat. One of the workers is like the anthropomorphic shape of a goat. Now, in case you didn't know, 80% of the products sold in Walmart are from China. And during the pandemic, there was a huge power grab, wasn't there? Because all the little businesses could not keep up with all the rules, the plexiglass, the smack the nations, the shutdowns. But guess who was allowed to stay open and had the money to meet all those rules? It was Walmart. And during the pandemic years, you can look this up yourself. Nothing that I say today is made up. The stock prices surged from 2020, from the day of the lockdowns, all the way through the pandemic. The China Walmart stock prices surged because Walmart was allowed to stay open during the entirety of the pandemic, which edged out all the small businesses, and it was a huge power grab. Many of those small businesses are gone forever. They will never come back. So here, Trump is depicted as controlling Walmart with his money. The unholy alliance with Walmart. And that unholy alliance is an alliance with China, who got rich because people had no other options. You all remember, never ever forget. Trump doesn't really hate China. He made China rich. Not only did he make China rich through Walmart, he made China rich through Amazon, who has 60% of its products that come from from China. This music video, in case you're just tuning in, released an entire year before the pandemic. Trump then eats the goat Walmart worker and drives off. Then, at 47 seconds, he gives birth to a reptilian egg. This is unbelievable. Next to him is a book that says Fire and Fury, which of course is FF, which are the letters or the number 66, just like his 66th floor Apollo penthouse. FF66. He gives birth. Now, keep an eye on these lyrics here. In fact, I'll make them a little bit bigger for you guys because this is important. I want you to be able to see the lyrics because they're actually singing lyrics here. My wallet is my ego. My ego never quit. He lays the egg on top of Russia. Look at this, sickle and hammer. Now this sickle and hammer was also depicted in I, Pet, Go 2. Remember, there's a man drowning in some toxic soup, and he's holding a hammer and sickle. So what does this represent, this egg being laid on top of this Russian symbol here? Well, I think it symbolizes his secret alliance with Russia. Out of the egg comes money. Most people don't realize is Trump has always had very close ties to the Russian mob. In fact, his tenants in Trump World Tower, many of them were Russian mobsters. This is unbelievable. Out comes the money. Hatched a plan. Now, at 128, we see the twin Trump towers. Talks about shedding his skin. Look at this. 2 staircases. Let's zoom this up for you guys. They come up and you have twin Trump towers. Now, I believe this is disclosure. We've always thought that he had something to do with 9/11, didn't we? We get a couple more syringes. They call it Snake Tower. There's a missile there. I don't know what that's about. But then at 1 minute 47 seconds, he pulls out a briefcase. And on the briefcase, it says, "I love Stormy Daniels." Also got a cannabis leaf with the flag on it. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to America. I don't judge people who smoke cannabis, but it's become a control mechanism for so many people, causing a dependency where you can get it from. It's all been federalized. Corporations are taking over, pushing out small cannabis farmers. If you have cannabis or use it, you can't operate a gun. You can't have a gun, so they've taken away your gun rights. And sadly, many people are very, very dependent on this. That's probably what that cannabis leaf means, with the flag on it. Another mechanism of control. We needed to decriminalize cannabis, not federalize it. And I think everybody can agree, even cannabis users. But yet, they took the bait, and now it's another control mechanism. Then at 2:01, we get a mention of the coming plague. I almost couldn't believe this. A symptom of the plague to cure the city's ills. Now, the video also mentions girls and boys a couple times, suggesting some kind of child trafficking, which was another theory we've had for a very long time. And then the bombshell. They talk about a shot. This is unbelievable. When do they talk about the shot? At 6:66 in the video. Or 2 minutes and 16 seconds. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216, you guys. Now I'll put a link to this music video for you guys so you can look at it yourself and hear it and see it with your own eyes. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. You know, many people have asked me, is it the mark? Is it the mark? Well, 666 is the mark of the beast. Do you want a shot? Right there. This was 2 years before the pandemic. Now, what's happening in this scene here? Well, those 3 reptilians that you saw playing cards, Trump comes for them to kill them. But what he does is he eats them. So he's the biggest reptilian of them all, eating up all the power. We do know that reptiles eat each other. Snakes eat each other, don't they? So he is really high up on the scale, isn't he? So one of the reptilians comes out onto the porch because they know that Trump is coming for them. And so he's pointing the gun at this fountain, this water fountain, as they say, do you want a shot? What does the water fountain represent? That's a portal. Remember, the Smurfs came through the fountain. Gargamel was in the fountains, under the Eiffel Tower syringe. It just goes on and on, you guys. God help us for all the people that have been deceived by this man. God help us all. Because the deception is costing people their lives. Do you want a shot to brave the bread of Babylon, the pile on which I squat? The reptilian doesn't see anything on the porch, but there's Trump above him. He swoops down and he eats them. At this point, he becomes engorged with these reptilians as he eats all of them. And then he leaps off of Snake Tower. So that means he was destined to take the fall, maybe? He becomes engorged after eating all of them. Maybe he was destined to take the fall, like that was the whole psyop. It's amazing to me when I hear people saying, oh, he must be good. Look how much the left is coming after him. You guys, that's why they do it. It's a psyop to make you believe that he's in trouble, and it legitimizes him. He leaps off of Snake Tower, all engorged after eating all the reptilians. There it is right there, Snake Tower. But before he jumps off, one last blasphemy, one last curse to God in heaven. He opens his pants to the Most High with dollar symbols in the clouds. This is just unbelievable. He's a God on earth, and this is how people treat him. And then he was about to explode from all the gluttony, and there he goes skydiving off the Snake Tower, and splat, and all the money comes out. Wow. Now, what does all this mean? I think we broke it down pretty thoroughly.